Okay, it's 7:30. I'd like to go ahead and get started with the 2021 Head of the Hooch Coaches and Coxswains meeting. So as a way of introduction, I'm Mike Connors. I'll be the Regatta Director for this year. From the Regatta Committee's end on the live stream as well will be Doug Jones, our Chief Referee, Jeff Owens, our Covet Officer, Ulrich Lemke, our Assistant Regatta Director for Logistics, Chris Lemke, our Registrar, Bryce Trung, our Assistant Regatta Director for Marketing and Media, William Esterhusen, our Dock Master, and he'll be overseeing the launch dock, and Buck Meyer, who is our Recovery Dock Master. So I'll be running through the entire presentation. Feel free to type in questions into the live stream. We've got several folks monitoring that. They'll try to answer your questions during the live stream. If there's anything that can't be answered, we'll bring that up at the end of the meeting and bring everybody on our committee on to help answer any questions that you have. So first, I do want to thank a couple of our sponsors, Chattanooga Tourism, also our Convention and Visitors Bureau, formerly known as our Convention and Visitors Bureau, is a major sponsor of our event, as is Outdoor Chattanooga, who helps with a lot of our venue setup. The Tennessee Valley Authority and Ore Board are four of our major sponsors of this event. We want to thank them for everything they're doing to make the event possible for you. And then you can see the many other sponsors that we have that are a combination of in-kind sponsorships as well as financial sponsorships to the regatta. So this is our 40th Hooch, and with one virtual Hooch, number 39 was virtual, as many of you may know and participated in. We're going to be launching 1,200 boats on Saturday and 900 boats on Sunday. And as always, we need your full support to make all of that run smoothly and on time. We'll work through all of this in the meeting tonight, but please pay particular attention to the launch times and the launch sequence. The dock operating procedures, we'll go over those in great detail tonight. And also there's information that'll be posted at the registration tent. And we again want to thank everybody for your continued support of the regatta and coming back to Chattanooga this year. So first, let's talk about our COVID-19 protocols. Our complete policy is available on our website. If you haven't seen that yet, I would ask that you kind of check that out and read through it. We pulled out some of the highlights from the full policy. So I think the big one is we strongly recommend that all participants are fully vaccinated prior to the regatta. If you have any concerns while you're here with respect to COVID-19, please stop by the registration tent and they will get in contact with our COVID officer and he'll assist you with any of your concerns. Fully vaccinated people are not required to wear a mask outdoors, but should wear a mask when you're in the tents or in other confined spaces where social distancing may be a little bit difficult to adhere to. As a courtesy, our dock volunteers who will come in close contact with thousands of athletes over the weekend ask that everyone wear a mask when they're on the docks. Unvaccinated people should always wear a mask on the venue, except when they're on the water, or that your clubs or teams protocols require something different, that those would take precedent if they're stricter than ours. Everybody should practice social distancing when possible. So we ask for everybody's cooperation in trying to make this a safe event for everybody. Here's a venue map. This is also on our website, but just at high level, a couple things to point out. As you come up on the venue, typically most people are entering on Chestnut Street, right along here. And you can see the main tents that you'll need to be aware of is the registration tent is tent C over here. The volunteer tent is tent B right in here. And then the operations tent is tent A down here, and that's where you'll find dock masters working out of there, as well as the judge referees. Trailer parking remains the same. This year a little bit different. All the bridge construction that we've had to deal with over the last couple of years has now been completed. So we do have more area for trailer parking in the vicinity of the bridge this year that we have not had for the last couple of years. Team tents, spectators, everything else pretty much remains the same. And like I say, this map can be found on our website. So as you're coming in, team bus drop off, whether you're coming into the city on Broad Street or Market Street, you'll be turning on Aquarium Way. And right in front of the Tennessee Aquarium, this is their parking lot in front of the Tennessee Aquarium. You can drop off where these green bars are right on Aquarium Way, or you can make the turn away from the venue and on Chestnut Street. Along the right side of Chestnut Street is also areas for buses to pull in and drop teams off. Okay, again, you can find this map on the website. Trailers that are coming into town, please follow the instructions that are on the website so that you understand which are the best roads to get to the venue on. If you don't follow that, or you follow your GPS, you may find yourself in some pretty tight turning situations in the middle of town. So again, we advise that whoever's driving your trailer into town, check out our website and get the appropriate map depending on where you're coming from, so that you can avoid any situations that you would probably prefer not to be in downtown. Reminder, team trucks, when you bring the trailers in, you can unload. And after that, you need to immediately leave the venue. Trucks that are pulling your trailers are not permitted to stay on the venue. Car toppers can have access to the venue for 30 minutes. That's Thursday, and then during limited hours, early morning, probably on Friday. There is no access for car toppers on Saturday and Sunday. The venue has got too much traffic, boat traffic walking throughout the venue on those days. And on all the details on that can be found on our website. One of the things this year, we will not have as many boat trees as we've had in the past on the venue. So we ask all the teams to make sure you bring sufficient slings for your boats, or please keep your boats stored on your trailers whenever possible. When trailers are looking to exit the venue toward the end of the regatta or when you're complete, no trucks will have access to the site before 7:30 p.m. Saturday evening. That's after all racing is complete and all the boats that are coming off the water should have had time to return to their trailers or slings. No trucks can access the site on Sunday between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. Those are racing hours again. And we always note that at 4 p.m. that could be delayed depending on how much traffic there is in the trailer parking lot, but we're shooting to have trucks available to come in or able to come in at 4 p.m. again. Teams that are looking to leave early Sunday morning should try to pull their trailers out of the trailer parking area Saturday night after the races are over. And if you're looking to come out Saturday night, please talk to some of our parking personnel. They try to put the trailers in specific locations for ones that are looking to leave on Saturday night for Sunday morning. So again, talk to them when you're coming in, let them know what your plans are for when you're leaving, and they can try to make your life easier on that exit. Okay, a reminder that all boats do need to be inspected before they go on the water. So there will be judge referees on Friday walking around the site, inspecting boats, putting a tie wrap on the bow ball so that it's been inspected. On Friday, the practice session is from noon to 6 p.m. No boats will be able to launch after 5:30, and all boats must be off the water by 6 p.m. Anyone rowing on Friday must obtain a wristband from registration. This will indicate that your waiver has been submitted. So again, if you plan on practicing on Friday, please stop by the registration tent and make sure you get the wristbands that will allow you to go on the dock on Friday. On Saturday, the first race is at 8:50 a.m. And the race, with the first race call at 7:50 a.m. On Sunday, we move it up earlier. And the primary reason for that is that daylight savings time will end on Saturday night. So the first race starts at 8 a.m. on Sunday, and the first race call will be around 6:50 a.m. So again, remember that you'll be setting your clocks back on Saturday night when you're in town. Okay, registration and weigh-ins. Registration hours are Friday, November 5th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just a reminder that you will not be able to pick up your bow numbers unless all the waivers have been completed. And then we ask that when you're picking up bow numbers, come with one or two coaches, and please wear a mask when you go into the registration tent. Weigh-in hours are Friday from 1 to 7 p.m., Saturday from 7 to 5 p.m., and Sunday from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Lightweights must weigh in at least 1 hour before their race. Please wear a mask when you go into the weigh-in area, and coxswains do not have to weigh in for this event. Team tents. By request of the Chattanooga Fire Department, cooking and running generators is not permitted in the viewing area, and that's the large team tent area that's right behind the bleacher area and between the bleacher area and Riverside Drive. You can have chafing dishes to keep food warm in your team tents. That is permitted. Cooking is permitted across the street. That's across Riverside Drive on the grassy area between the aquarium buildings. No cooking trailers or mobile generators may be driven on the grass. Only portable units are permissible. Teams with cooking gear must bring a fire extinguisher for use in the event of a fire emergency. And that again is a requirement of the Chattanooga Fire Department. Okay, launch times. The final schedule shows race times for each race. And there's also a column for launch times. And let me just, so this is on the website, but I'm going to slide this over just so you can see what that schedule looks like. So again, when you see this on the website, you can see the event number, the race time, but here's your first call and when launching is expected. So that information is all on the schedule along with the event. So, and just as a hint, in the morning, we will let the recovery docks be used for launching both Saturday and Sunday morning for the first couple of events before anybody comes down the course and looking to come into the recovery docks after racing. Okay. Okay. So the launch time is the time that we expect you to be at the bottom of the concrete ramp or the aluminum ramp ready to walk out onto the launch dock. To be able to run this regatta on time, it's imperative that you're at the launch dock at the time indicated on the schedule. For those that have been here before know that there is a tremendous amount of boats that we have to move off the launch dock and then back on the recovery docks over a short period of time. So we ask for your cooperation there. And we talked about both launch and recovery docks can be used for launching both mornings. Just showed you the final schedule, and that is posted on our website. There will also be copies of that available in the registration tent. And we ask that you follow us at Head of the Hooch for any updates to the schedules. Race calls. Be aware that it will take 45 to 65 minutes to row from the launch dock to the staging area at the start line. All boats are expected to be at the start area about 10 minutes before the scheduled race time. The announcer will only call each race once, so please be paying attention, but you can expect that call to be roughly an hour before each of your races. And then out of respect for those that live on Riverfront Parkway and past the Ojati Bridge, we're not allowed to put speakers up in that area. So please pay attention via social media on the Twitter account for race calls if you happen to be in one of those areas where we cannot reach you with the PA system. So word of warning, the aluminum ramp that is kind of, I'll say, in the center of the venue, just on the downstream side of the city pier, is rather steep and it can be kind of slippery. If you have any concerns there, that's I'll say your coach's call on that one. The slighter incline is to walk all the way around up toward the bridge and by where the Southern Bell paddle wheeler is and come down that long concrete ramp. That is probably a safer approach and not as slippery coming down that ramp. But like I say, that'll be up to the coaches on whether you want to allow your crews to use that aluminum ramp coming down. Anybody going on the dock, the support team, please wear shoes. Flip-flops are definitely not safe on the docks, especially in the morning where they may be a little bit slippery from dew and things like that. We have some information. If this is your first time at the Hooch or you need a refresher, please download the handout for coxswains and crews at the website below. And this Coaches and Coxswain meeting will also be posted on the website as well. So you can find references to all this after we get done with the meeting. Race operations. The race operations tent is in the grassy area close to the launch dock. So right as you come down the aluminum ramp to the left is the race operations tent. That's where you can find the judge referees, dock masters, and all the safety personnel operate out of that tent. Boats that are not checked or tagged as passing on Friday during the safety checks, that would be bow balls and foot stretchers. That'll be done at the top of either of the two ramps, the main concrete ramp or the aluminum ramp. We'll have folks up there, judge referees, to check the boats and tag them, so they'll be good to go for the weekend. But understand that any boats, once they're checked, they can be subject to a spot check during the rest of the weekend. Make sure your bow number is secure, depending on what the weather conditions would be. We have instances where the bow numbers fall off, and that just makes it, could delay the timing for an event. So we ask that you check that your bow numbers are secure in their clips, or use tape if need be, if you think it might fall out of the clip. Okay, the on-land traffic patterns, just to go over this. Most of the teams are going to be up here in the boat laydown area, or you'll be coming out of the one of the trailer parks here. The aluminum ramp I've been discussing is right here. This is referred to as the city pier. You can't miss that. That projects out into the water. And then the main concrete ramp is here. So the options you have, if you follow the orange arrows, is as you come out of your storage area, you'll be working over here to go down the aluminum ramp, or working up this way to go down the large concrete ramp. And then once you come down the large concrete ramp, you'll loop around. The ground will be marked here. You'll be going down bow first onto the launch dock. The ones coming down, the boats coming down the aluminum ramp, we'll merge them in together. You'll have volunteers here to direct you. And we pretty much go back and forth with one from concrete ramp and one from the aluminum ramp. And then you'll go out on the launch docks. One of the things I want to mention here is as you start to move toward the water, if you could keep in mind that you're in a continuous moving loop from the time you take the boat off of your trailer or out of your slings and start moving toward the dock, out onto the race course, racing, and then coming back into the recovery dock. We need to keep that entire loop moving. And there's lots of points where this can get congested and get backed up. And that can cause for a lot of delays in getting boats off the water. And one of those is right in this area in here, where some of the boats are coming off of what we call the green, or the boat laydown area. And the boats that are coming up off of the recovery dock off here, and they're trying to return to their boat trailer location. So here, you've got a little bit of a crisscross going on where the boats coming off the water have to come in and move across over into the laydown area, and boats coming out of the laydown area have to come in and cross over to the right lane, if you will, on that road, and then head down to the launch dock. So we ask that you be aware of that and pay attention to the volunteers we have all along this way so that we can keep that flowing smoothly. If this gets too congested and we can't get people up off the recovery docks and up the grassy hill here, then it backs up on the water and can become a problem. So just be conscious of that this is going to be congested, and we've got to be conscious of that and do the best we can to make that work. And again, here's a more detailed view of the launch dock. And again, boats coming down the aluminum ramp here, boats coming down the large and less steep concrete path as you come down to the water. Again, this is an actual aerial view of the launch area. Here's the concrete path coming down. The ground will be marked with yellow tape like it is here. You'll loop around, bring your boat out onto the launch dock, or come down the aluminum ramp right here, turn in here, and we'll merge out onto the launch dock. And then you'll notice, we'll talk about this a little bit later, this side dock here is where we would ask that you have all your oars ready and your support team ready to go. And as your boat comes down the main launch ramp, the team that's carrying the oars or picking up the shoes can come off of this side ramp here and meet the boat as it enters into the main part of the dock, and then go out and help get that boat on the water. So launching, due to the large number of boats that are going to be on the dock at any time, it can get very congested. We can have probably up to 8+ boats, 8+8s launching from the dock at once. So we ask that when you do come down, if you're a single, you just need one single or double or pair, please just have one person assisting you. If you're a 4 or a quad, we don't have any 4 minuses, that should be an X. 4 or a quad, 2 people assisting you there, and on an 8, a max of 3 people assisting there. If you arrive at the dock and you're missing equipment, just be aware that if you clog the dock up on the launch dock, there is a potential of a 60-second penalty. So again, we ask that you be ready with your oars and additional team members help bring those oars down to meet the boat and help get you off the dock as quickly as possible. Okay. Again, do not leave any shoes or attire on the dock. So somebody needs to bring down a basket or whatever means you want to carry those shoes or clothing off the dock. And again, when the helpers of the crew leave off of that side egress as well. You cannot do any repairs on the dock. And then please tie in once you've left the dock and passed underneath the bridge, which we'll show here in a second. And you're heading upstream, you can get tied in off the dock, and that allows us to get more people off the dock quicker. And understand that we will not let any boats launch if they have less than 45 minutes before their scheduled race time. Again, it'll take potentially 45 to 65 minutes for you to row up to the start line, depending on what the current is that day. There'll be no launching permitted from either the UTC barges or Lookout Rowing Club. And we ask that you do not allow any animals or no animals are allowed on the docks. We have had to deal with that in the past, and you can imagine with all the people there, it can get a little bit hairy with a dog either on a leash or off a leash. So please no pets on the dock. So traffic pattern leaving the dock. So once you've made it to the dock, you've pushed off, you're going to come off of either side of this dock and you're going to row underneath the old Giatti Bridge. And then there's going to be 2 yellow buoys out here. We ask you to row around those buoys to the far shore. And then you'll head up toward the starting line, up along the far shore of the river. Okay. Again, here's an actual aerial view of where the buoys are and boats rowing out around the buoys and then back up this side to go to the start line. Okay, as we get up to the start, hopefully everybody has heard that the starting line has changed this year. We've moved it 500 meters downstream to a shore-based starting platform. In the past, we have used a boat as the starting platform, but we've now moved to an area on shore, and that will make the race course now 4.5 kilometers instead of 5 kilometers. And for those of you that are masters, we have adjusted all the handicaps accordingly for a 4.5 kilometer race. Okay, so lots happening on this map, but this is the overall map we talked about coming off the launch dock here, around the bridge, and then you're going to follow the far shore all the way up to the starting line. The river takes a big bend to the left as you're going up to the start. And then once you get up into the start line area, there'll be 3 triangular buoys. And eventually you're going to make your way up to buoy number 3, where you're going to turn and come to the other shoreline. And then you're going to row down that shoreline and enter the starting chute right in here. And then eventually you'll go through the start line at the 4,500 meter mark right there. Okay. Race course, when you go down, you're going to be, there'll be orange buoys on your, for the coxswain on the starboard side. And you'll be hugging those as you come down this side of the river, and then heading into the final home stretch where you'll come underneath the 3 bridges. There will be markers at the 2,000, 1,500, 1,000 meter, and 500 meter mark along the port side of the boat. So you could be looking for those so you have an idea of how much you have left in the race. Again, this map's up on our venue, so you can look through all the other details on that map, including a list of our vendors that'll be here this year. Okay, safety on the race course. Judge referees are spaced out along the race course. If you have an emergency, please flag one of them down. They're there to assist you. So if you have anybody that's having a medical emergency, or even if you have some issues with the boat equipment, try to flag one of them down. We'll see if we can help you with the situation. We also have EMTs on the water. They are located near the start line and the finish line areas. And then we also have rescue boats patrolling the course. We have 2 of those out there to assist if we end up with a boat that has damage or breakage where it is unable to continue to row. We do have boats out there that can help with the recovery of any equipment on the water. So be aware that they're out there, but I think your first course would be to try to flag down one of the judge referees, and then they can assess the situation and then bring in what other emergency personnel we need to handle any situation on the water. Okay, again, let's talk a little about the staging and start area. As you come up to the start area, don't stop at the start line, keep going. So a lot of folks will come up and they'll see the start line over here on far shore, and you'll start to slow down in this area. We actually need you to continue rowing up to these numbered buoys. You're going to be rowing to buoy 3, and you'll be going around buoy 3 before you head to the other side of the course or the other side of the river. Please pay attention to the referees. They'll continue to row to 3. They may stop you at 2 if it's getting congested at 3. So pay attention to all the starting referees in that area. And then as you turn here, they're going to guide you into the starting chute. They'll try to keep you probably spaced out a good 10 to 15 seconds apart as you come into starting chute area. And then start chute should have 2 yellow large inflatable buoys that'll mark the beginning of the chute. And then there'll be buoys that'll keep you between those buoys and the shoreline will be pretty much the chute area. And then you'll see 2 other buoys that'll mark the start line. And from a visual perspective, it looks like this. The boats are congregating here. You'll be going around the 3 yellow buoys. and then we'll be turning you into the starting chute in here, and then you'll get to the start line. And so for this year, so people know what to look for, this is where the start line will be. So as you're rowing up, you'll be able to look across, and you can't miss the giant red crane that's there. The start line will be on top of, I'll call it a cylinder, on top of this cylinder here. That word start is not painted on that cylinder. So don't be looking for a giant white stripe on that cylinder. Just know that it's the cylinder that's downstream of the red crane is where the start line will be, positioned right up here. And so you'll know what to look for this year. Instead of looking for a starting boat, you'll be looking for this crane over here, which is a good landmark for the starting line. And this is, again, another visual. The race course, your start line is up in this area up here. And basically, you're making a rather large bend in the river, following these orange buoys all the way along. And they'll bring you in over here. You'll then go inside of the small island here, and you'll be going through what I'll call the second arch from the shoreline of each of the three bridges. So you'll see an abutment here and an abutment here. You're coming through there. Same thing here. You'll be coming through between the first and second abutment on this bridge, and the same thing here between these two abutments here, and you'll be coming into the finish line that'll be marked with large yellow buoys as well. Okay, so the racecourse buoys are larger than what you will typically see lining a sprint course. So while technically you're not in violation if your oars go over the top of the buoys, these buoys are large enough that they do not fit underneath your rigger, unlike the ones on a sprint course where they can actually slide underneath your rigger. So we wouldn't advise trying to tuck those buoys in under your riggers. It's just not going to work. You'll probably end up hitting those buoys and stopping the boat. So let's talk a little bit about yielding and the passing rule. A boat is considered to be overtaking when it is less than one boat length of open water between the two boats. In this case, the boat being overtaken has to yield by moving toward the outside of the turn, taking the longer path. Not doing so can result in a penalty for boats being overtaken. So schematically, if you have a situation like this, where the blue boat is gaining on the red boat and getting ready to overtake the red boat, it's the red boat's responsibility to move to the outside of the turn and allow the blue boat to have the shorter course. So again, here, blue boat's overtaking the red boat moves out and allows the blue boat to come on the inside of that turn, and that's an appropriate passing. If the red boat does not yield, that's a potential penalty for the red boat if they don't yield to let a passing crew through to the shorter course. Okay, so let's talk the criticality of the recovery dock and the approach there. Once you pass the finish line, go to a light paddle, but keep rowing. Please do not stop right as you cross the finish line. There's plenty of boats coming in behind you, and we need you to keep moving toward the bridge that's in front of you. Row past the recovery docks. There'll be a line of red buoys on your port side coxswains or scullers, and you want to keep going past that row of red buoys. Do not cross that line of buoys because it's traffic coming the other way. You could be penalized if you cross that line of red buoys prematurely. After you pass that last red buoy, look and follow the instructions of the referee or the marshals on the water. Do not turn toward the docks until you're instructed by an official to do so. If you need priority launching because you need to hot seat the crew or the boats, we're going to explain that whole procedure in a second. But that's the point where you would show a priority launch card, and the referees will try to get you to the docks quickly so that you can go in and follow our procedure for getting your boat out of the water and changing crews. So we'll explain that in a couple of minutes. Okay, so as you approach the recovery docks, once you've turned now and you're coming back to the recovery docks, the finish line marshals will probably direct you to either of the two recovery docks, which have multiple names. So the outside or the long dock is sometimes referred to as dock number 1. And then the inside or the short dock is sometimes referred to number 2. So if you hear number 1, outside, long dock, it's you can't miss the difference between the long dock and the short dock. And then number 2 on the inside is the short dock. And then on each of the recovery docks, there'll be volunteers there that'll have numbered flags. So pay attention, because as we kind of transfer you from the marshals out on the river into the dock masters, they'll be telling you which side of which recovery dock to be steering toward. And the dock marshals or the dock masters will take over and guide you through your approach into the dock by rowing to a specific numbered flag on either the inner or the outer dock. So again, you'll be kind of transferring from the marshals over into the dock masters and pay attention to their instructions. Important is to be aware of the current in the river. You want that current to help you. If you're being instructed to go to the outside or the river side of either of the recovery docks, understand that the current is going to be pushing you toward that dock. So we would recommend, coxswains, that you point out a little bit away from the dock if you're on the upstream side, and get yourself kind of parallel to the dock, a little bit away from the dock, and then the current will push you right into the dock. If you're coming into the inside of the recovery docks, the current is actually going to be pushing you away from the dock. So you're going to need to point up much closer to the recovery dock or almost at the recovery dock, and continue rowing until our volunteers can catch your oars and bring you into the dock. As you're turning, do not try to take your boat back to the launch dock. That would be an immediate disqualification. So again, you're launching from one dock, coming into the two recovery docks. Do not try to go back to the launch dock after your race. And again, just like before, we ask that when you're helping get your boat off the dock, singles bring one person, pairs and doubles, one person as well, fours and quads. You can have 2 people down there to assist with the oars and the shoes, and at 8 you can have 3 people assisting to get their boats off the dock. So again, schematically, as you come across the finish line, continue to paddle up toward the bridge. You're going to be turning out here. There'll be a series of, I think they're actually red buoys that are here, but there'll be a series of buoys here that continue after the finish line. You're going to row up and around these buoys. The referees' launches are sitting right in the middle here. They'll be directing you, and they'll turn you to come in here, and then they'll split you to either the outside long recovery dock or the inside short dock. Understand that this is what the current's doing. As it comes around the bend, it's pushing into this dock. So again, as I said before, if you're approaching the outside, try to point yourself a little bit to the outside here and understand that that current's going to push you right up against the dock. So use that current to your benefit if you're approaching on that side for either dock. And then if you're approaching from this side to get on the dock, you're going to want to point a little bit up into the dock. You're going to be rowing against the current a little bit, and then we'll have folks on the dock to help grab your oars and bring you into the dock. And I think we've gone through some of this. Pay attention to the dock volunteers, be aware of the current. We talked about the upstream side, the downstream side. And then again, at the end of the day, once we're done launching boats, at that point, we will open up the launch dock for recovery. So if you're in a couple of the last races of the day, be aware that once we're done launching boats, that kind of last hour of the day, the launch dock will be opened up, and then we can bring boats in on either any of the 3 docks and hopefully get you off the water quicker. Just follow the instructions of the referees. They'll know when that dock opens up for recovery, and we'll get you off the water as quick as possible. And again, just a more close-up of the same thing we talked about. Launch dock here, recovery docks, and be aware of the current and loop around and come in. Again, the dock volunteers will help you move your boat down the dock. Follow their instructions. Please leave the dock immediately. Keep moving so you don't stop the dock, because if the dock stops up, then people get backed up on the water, and then it can be kind of a mess out in that area that we're trying to turn all the boats around. So we ask for your cooperation in getting the boats off the dock as quickly as possible. Take all your belongings with you, and then watch for boat traffic around the recovery docks. As you come off the docks, there may be boats coming off of both docks trying to merge together. So again, be very aware of the traffic as you exit the two docks. And then you'll be walking up the grass ramp. And please make sure our volunteers take your bow number as you come off the recovery dock. And again, please do not allow any animals on the recovery docks, just like the launch dock. Okay, so a little more detail on leaving the docks. As you're leaving the docks here, you've got two paths. You can go up this concrete ramp if your trailer happens to be on the east side of Chestnut Street. So this is Vendor Alley here. This is Chestnut Street. As you come off the dock here, if you're going to be keeping your boat down in this area, we ask that you come up this way and then bring it to whether your trailer's up here or over here. And if your trailer is in the large grassy area or actually in where the trailers are parked, the big parking lots, you would come up the grassy ramp and then turn to your right. And again, as I mentioned before, be aware that traffic is crisscrossing right here. So be conscious of it and help us keep traffic moving through there. If you come up this grassy ramp, you will not be able to turn your boat and go this way. So we're going to have a major mess on our hands. If you come up this ramp and want to go back this way, you'll be going against the flow of traffic. So that's going to be an impossibility. So let's make the right decision down here on where you're heading. And I think that's kind of what I just said here. They're on the east side of Chestnut Street, up this way, and no left turns. Again, same thing. Again, here as you return, again, just remember this congested area here, and let's try to help each other out in that area. Okay, let's talk about priority launching procedures. We do not have hot seating per se, as you may be familiar with, where you pull into one dock, you change your crew out, and you push back off the same dock. That is not permitted at this regatta. If you're onshore and you need to make a quick turnaround of your equipment or your crew, the boat has to come off the water. But we ask that you pick up a priority launch card. There'll be a picture of that here in a second at the race operations tent before you launch. The priority launch card must be carried by the coxswain in that first race where the boat needs to be turned around quickly. It doesn't do us any good if the coxswain from the boat shows up on the recovery dock and says, oh, I have the priority launch card for a boat on the water. It happens, but that's not how it's supposed to happen. So make sure the coxswain on the water has a priority launch card. They're going to display that card to the referee on the water. And what they're going to try to do is direct you to that inside short recovery dock, because it works much more efficiently for if we're trying to turn your equipment around. And then while you're leaving the recovery dock, once you get into it, you're going to have to show that priority launch card again to the volunteers. And as you come off the dock, you're going to be making a right turn. I'll be showing you a diagram in a second, as opposed to a left turn to go up the grassy ramp. And once you come around there, that's where your crew will meet you with the equipment or additional rowers to launch for your next race. Make sure that second crew is ready, because there's really not a lot of room to leave your boats along the shore there as you head back to the launch dock. And again, just because you're priority launching, do not try to go back to the launch dock. That's not what that card's allowing you to do. You're still coming in to follow the recovery dock the same way as anybody else is. This is the priority recovery and launch dock, card. So you can pick this up again at the race operations tent, which is over by the launch dock. It's the tent right by the launch dock. You'll pick one of these up, and that's going out with the crew that's going to be coming in looking to go in for a priority to be recovered. And so here you'll be, hopefully we're going to get you into this dock, the short dock. You're going to come up the ramp. You'll show your priority launch card here. And then as you come up, you're going to turn this way on this concrete ramp, and it's along this concrete, edge here. That's where you can meet with your new crew, can take that boat, and then you're going to continue under the bridge, and then you're going to funnel right into the traffic to go out on the launch dock. So again, in on the inside recovery dock, you're going to make a right turn as opposed to a left turn and go up the grassy ramp. Right turn, just continue down the concrete path here, change your crew out while you're in here, and that crew can continue right along onto the launch dock. Okay, if you have an appeal, if a crew has an appeal for a ruling of ineligibility or a penalty that's been imposed on your team for any alleged infraction, interference, force violations, buoy violations, that'll be taken up with the ombudsman at the race operations tent. So that's where you will go to file any kind of protest or objection to penalties. Understand that you can't go down there and try to get a penalty assessed on another crew. That's not going to happen. What you're really going down there for is to try to talk about any infractions that you have against your crew. If you're going to follow that protest, show up at the tent. You need to do that within 60 minutes of the last boat that finishes the event. So head over to the race operations tent, ask for the ombudsman or one of the judge referees, and they'll get you set up where they can hear what the issue is and see if they need to make any adjustments to any of the penalties that have been assessed. So the judge referees will take it from there. Results, unofficial times will be posted as your boats go through the finish line. So we're using Here Now for the timing system, and your times unofficially will be posted as the finish line time is entered into the system. The unofficial results will be posted after the last boat has crossed the finish line. You'll be able to see all the unofficial results for that race. If there are no unresolved appeals for an event after 60 minutes after the last boat finishes, those event results will then be made official. No further appeals will be considered after the results are posted on the results board and made official. Penalties, to be able to launch and recover 2,100 boats in a day and a half, we need to be very efficient on launch and recovery docks. Therefore, we're maintaining the penalties for delaying the launch and recovery on the recovery docks. We know that you'll cooperate to get the boats off the dock as soon as possible. So we hope we don't have to impose any penalties for the docks, but there would be a 60-second penalty assessed for these dock times. We give 3 minutes for an 8 to get on the dock and get loaded and off the dock, and then 2 minutes for all other crews. The list of penalties can be found on the website. On-time starting is going to be strictly enforced, and late starts will not be permitted. So let's make sure we're getting launched on time and up into the starting area where your race can be kind of collected by the starting marshals, and then we get you through the chute as an event. And again, penalties are on the website if you want to go through the full list of potential penalties for the regatta. Medals and trophies. All of our sponsors have trophies with their names on them. So select events do have, in addition to medals, gold, silver, and bronze medals, there are trophies that are being awarded to a handful of the events that our sponsors will be represented on. The medals and trophies will be available at the registration tent after the race results are made official. And we ask that you, again, only send one representative to pick up those awards, and please wear a mask when you're in that tent. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the weather. If we have cold weather, and that's what it looks like right now, the morning temperatures are expected to be in the mid-30s, both Saturday and Sunday morning. So be prepared for that. Please wear multiple layers of thin clothing under your, or under your race uniforms, and anything you wear over that, you'd want to take off before you get started. Take rain gear or windbreaking garments with you if you need it. That'll help keep you warm against any wind. Right now, the wind, it'll be probably anywhere from 3 to 7 mile an hour winds during that period. It looks like we're not going to be too terribly windy over the weekend, but as all of you know, the weather forecast changes daily. But right now, again, cold in the morning, mid-30s, highs are going to be mid to upper 50s with, I'll say, a mild amount of wind, it looks like right now. Please make sure that your bow rower who is wearing the bib number, that is going to be on the set of clothing that they will be racing in. So we ask that you don't have that number on your sweatshirt and then take your sweatshirt off before you start racing. That number obviously helps us identify your boat and speeds up the timing process, so we don't have any issues there. Dehydration, even though it's cold, understand that you can still get dehydrated. Wind has the effect of dehydrating you as quickly as heat can. I ask that you drink plenty of water. Having worked the safety area for many, many years for the regatta, the biggest thing we see are issues with dehydration. So I can't emphasize enough, coaches and coxswains, please make sure your crews are drinking plenty of water during the day prior to their races and after their races. This is the number one thing that we see is usually issues surrounded by dehydration. And we talked a little bit about the wind. In the case we get choppy water, please make sure that you bring some sponges or a small bailing device with you in the boat. That can help tremendously in getting some of that excess water out of the boat should we get into any kind of choppy weather. The current, the Tennessee Valley Authority works with us to minimize the current flow. Unfortunately, Mother Nature does not always cooperate. If the area receives a large amount of rainfall leading up to the regatta, we can expect higher currents in the river. The good news is that we have not, knock on wood, had higher amounts of rain recently, so we are expecting that the Tennessee Valley Authority will be able to minimize the current in the river for us during the regatta. Typically, we like to get it, again, this is relative. We're asking them to keep it below 20,000 cubic feet per second, which has kind of a minimal impact. Obviously, it's going to help you down the river, but it's very manageable for the launch and recovery docks. For those of you that have been around in the past, we have seen currents as high as 40 to 50,000 cubic feet per second during the regatta. And as you know, that becomes very difficult to manage, particularly on the docks in launching and recovering. So hopefully this weekend, it looks like the current's going to be good. The wind should be good. Just going to be a little bit chilly in the morning, it looks like. Okay, so some last reminders. Hooch is your regatta. We need your cooperation to make this year another fun and safe and enjoyable event. We have a busy schedule. We'll be ready to launch at your scheduled launch times with oars ready and close to the launch dock and your crew ready to go. Don't waste time on the launch and recovery docks. Keep things moving. If we can keep things moving, it makes the day go a lot quicker and safer. Yeah, and don't risk missing your race. When you get out on the water, we would encourage you, if you're in an 8, to go ahead and row up to the start line in 8s. If you spend a lot of time rowing in pairs and 4s, you're going to extend that time it takes you to get to the start line. And again, remember, it takes 45 to 65 minutes to get up to the starting area, depending on the current. And we have instruction sheets for the coaches and coxswains, so don't forget to take those instruction sheets with you. I think you can find those at registration and probably online. Couple special events. Two things that'll be happening. Oarboard on Friday is going to be bringing some of their equipment down to the long recovery dock, and they will be demoing their equipment. So we encourage you, if you're interested, to go sign up with them. Obviously, we can only do a limited number of folks to try their equipment out on Friday during the practice session. So we ask you to go down there and check out their equipment. So something that's a non-traditional racing shell, but can also get you the exercise that you need in rowing, maybe for someone who's in your family that's not looking to be a competitive rower, but wants to get the benefits of the exercise. Or board is certainly an alternative for them. In addition, Concept 2 and Here Now are teaming up, and on Bender Row, we'll have a Concept 2 Here Now tent. And for those of you that participated in our virtual regatta last year, we're going to have 4 ergs set up where you can race the last 500 meters of the race course virtually on the erg, or if there's somebody in your family that would like to kind of see what it's like to race the last 500 meters of the Hooch course, we'll have the virtual course set up in that tent, and we'll be doing four rowers at a time. So hopefully we can accommodate as many people as possible over the 2 days with that opportunity. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors. Again, Chattanooga Tourism, Outdoor Chattanooga, TVA and Orboard are our major sponsors, and you see them around the venue. Please thank them for their sponsorship and helping us try to keep some of the costs down to the teams and athletes. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over and see if we have any questions. So we are going to open our microphones up on our end, and those that have been monitoring the questions, we'll have them read any questions that haven't been answered online, and we'll stick around till we get as much of your questions answered as possible. So with that, I'm going to ask our team to go ahead and unmute themselves, and they can actually start their video so you can kind of see some of our smiling faces that you'll see around the venue.
Hi, Mike. We had a question from Daniel about how much time will be allowed on the launch and recovery docks.
You want to take it, William?
Sure. Basically, from our perspective, about 3 minutes generally is the rule of thumb that we apply for most boats that are on the dock. We try to get them from the time you enter, basically from the time you put the boat on the water and pushed off. That's the allowance. We've got to keep it moving though, so we try to move within that time period.
Yeah, so it's two minutes for each boat and 3 minutes for, so it's 3 minutes for an 8, 2 minutes for all other boats. So
yep.
If you do it less than that, it helps us out tremendously.
We're basically launching boats about every 28 seconds.
Thanks. We had another question from Starman and Kim. Similar questions here. One is, if you are unable to lift your single, are you able to have additional hands on the dock to help you? And similarly, if you are in a master's crew that is unable to lift their boat, can they have extra people helping on the dock?
On the rare occasions, Bryce, where we've had issues to deal with, we've tried to stick to the number of support staff to actually help. So if it's a fall coming down, there will be 2 additional folk that will be able to help them get the boat out. And sometimes even the dock volunteers will be able to help them with those with the boat. Typically, though, with a single, with the individual that's assisting, that kind of works out pretty well. It's very rare, but we do step in and help where we need to.
Thanks. Question by Turophil. What is the procedure for delays and cancellations due to morning fog?
Yeah, so if we have fog in the morning, we will have schedules made up. We have them, I'll say, in our back pocket for delays. If there's, I'm going to say, up to a 1 hour delay, we probably would still be able to get all the racing in. If there becomes delays beyond that, then we will take a look at the situation and figure out if we have to adjust the race schedule. And then we'll publish that as quickly as possible once we realize how long the delay is going to be.
Okay. Are there penalties? This is from Ruth. Are there penalties for going through the chute out of order?
No, typically not. We'd like to have you go in order, but we also realize we're trying to be as efficient up there as possible. I mean, in order makes it easy for the spectators to understand who's passed who, but I think in reality, we realize that that doesn't happen all the time, and I don't think we've been assessing penalties in the past if you're coming out of order for the chute.
Can you say about how much time will be between starts? How much time between each boat at the start?
Yeah, our target is between 10 and 15 seconds between boats.
And another starting procedure question. This one's from Lexi. Are we supposed to be lined up by bow number before turning around buoy number 3?
Yeah, I think that as you approach number 3, I'll say the typical procedure for any head races, as you start to get the buoy number 1, then the buoy number 2, then the buoy number 3, you should be starting to find the boats that are both the bow numbers just ahead of you and the bow numbers that are just behind you, and try to start to get yourselves in order before the judge referees even get involved. So be looking for the boats that are around your number, and then try to get yourselves in order before you start to make that turn. So the more you can help out with that, the better.
Mike, can I add something to that?
Sure.
It's just on the docks. We are not going to line you up sequentially as you come in to launch. It's an impossible task because crews will row up at different speeds up the river to the start. So when your race is called, try to get down as soon as you can to the docks. I'm not worried about whether you're, 1,517 and you are 30 behind where you should be. The important thing is you've got to be on the water at least 45 minutes before your race starts. Otherwise, you will not be able to make it to the start. But we're not worrying from the launch perspective of having you sequentially numbered as you go on. It's an impossible task.
Those are the questions we currently have from the live stream chat.
Okay. Did anybody in our committee want to add anything based on the presentation? Did I miss anything or anything you want to emphasize at this point?
Yeah, Mike, this is William. We've actually got on the recovery dock, there are 4 numbers. The outside dock starts with number 1, and that's against the bank, and then moves across to the inside dock, which is number 4. So outside is 1 and 2, the inside is 3 and 4. And from the perspective of the referees that will be directing the boats once they cross the finish line and making that turn, they will be handing over to Buck and team, who will then be directing the boats as to which dock they will be going into. Buck, if you want to elaborate more on that, feel free to step in and chat more about it. But we do expect the referees on the water to hand over to basically our operations to actually bring the crews into the docks.
Yeah, what the crews need to remember is that once you start heading towards the recovery docks, just listen to what you're being told from the people on the docks. They're the ones that know what space is going to be available, how to get you in the quickest, and the safest. And safety is the thing that we're going to be most concerned about. So just follow the directions of what the people on the docks are telling you. It can be confusing. You may get an instruction from one person and 2 minutes later have an instruction from another person. Just follow the last instruction that you get and you'll be fine.
Thank you, Buck.
We've got a couple more questions. One is a clarification.
Mhm.
So is it possible to have an extra helper on the dock if you're unable to carry your single, or will volunteers be helping?
If you're unable to carry your single, we will accommodate you. Or the volunteers will assist, but generally it's acceptable if you cannot carry your single.
I would say that since Sunday is a little slower day, and when the singles come in, there's usually a pretty good amount of room on the dock. If you have an extra person that needs to come and help, that's not going to be an issue.
And what is the earliest that someone can claim a boat tree?
Ooh.
Never. You can't claim them.
Just be
No, they
down
can't be-
early.
They can't be reserved. I mean, you just first come, first serve.
What is the earliest they can come in to serve themselves?
I think they go up on
Thursday, don't they?
Thursday. They'll be up. Yeah, they should be up by Thursday morning.
Yes, that's correct.
There were a couple questions about the flow and where to check that. If you go to tva.com and look for Chickamauga Dam, that they provide hourly information. And you can also get the last 48 hours of hourly outputs from the dam. But realize that on the weekend, they're going to throttle back probably, and it won't be the same as it was on, say, Friday.
Anything else, Bryce? No? Chris, anything on your end?
Nope, I think that's everything.
Okay.
There's one more piece for you, and that's the Concept 2 Here Now virtual tent. Adam Creek, who is a gold medalist from Beijing, will be racing a couple of sessions, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. So if you find out his time and you think you can beat an Olympic gold medalist, sign up and see if you can take on Adam Creek. He was with the Canadian Men's 8.
Good. All right. Well, I think that's it from our end. It sounds like if you think of any other questions, you can send them to generalinfo@headofthehooch.org. We'll try to get you answers. So I look forward to having everybody in Chattanooga. Safe travels, and we'll probably start seeing you guys on Thursday. Take care. Thank you very much for joining the 2021 Head of the Hooch Coaches and Coxswains meeting. Have a good night.